Now, on today's episode, we talked to Phily about a range of topics from becoming a professional athlete for Team New Balance Manchester and what that means for her life, and what is content creation all about from the other side of the camera. So, Phily, we are 13 days out from Copenhagen Marathon, which is very fast approaching. Now, talk us through the prep, how it's gone for this race, if there's any differences to the last prep, and yeah, just give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's been it's absolutely flown by. I can't believe it's technically next week, but yeah, in terms of comparing to Seville, just over a year ago, quite a bit over a year ago. Yeah, it's February last year. I think the mileage has been higher this time around. I think last time we were sort of in uncharted territory in that sense. I kept it fairly conservative in terms of the volume and supplemented it quite a bit with cross training. I haven't cross trained much this time around or at all in the last sort of few weeks. The mileage has been a lot more it's just been up there, a bit more consistent, a bit higher. It hasn't come without its hiccups. I have had a couple of illnesses in this block quite close together, really frustratingly. I think I took like 4 or 5 days off for a cold or the start of a cold, and then got an even worse 1-2 weeks later, which was super frustrating because I kind of got back into training, had to come back down again. But I feel really good. I've been recovering really well from big sessions, the big long runs. Like towards the start of the block, if I did sort of like 17 to 20 miles, I'd really feel it on the Monday. And I'm sat here having done 18 yesterday, and I went for a walk in the afternoon because I was bored, but I wasn't like wiped out, which is good. It's a good sign that you've adapted to the training. So I think you can do that. You just sort of can push it up gradually each time you go into a block. So we've just been sensible with it.
And you mentioned that in your first block, you supplemented some of the miles with cross training, whereas this time maybe less of those miles. Do you feel that do you think that's because obviously conditioning is improving?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the gym as well is another thing that I should have mentioned that's been different this time around as well. I've pretty consistently been in the gym twice a week, and then we've cut that down to once a week in the last sort of like 5 to 6 weeks, just to sort of keep the key movements in there, but not lift crazy weights. And last time around, I was probably doing some really basic sort of conditioning, but nothing consistently because it'd be the first thing to go if I was trying to squeeze that in like after a double day and a big shift at work. So yeah, that's good as well. And I think like we would have definitely done more cross training this time around if I'd felt like I'd needed it, but my body's just responded really well to training, and touch wood, like I've not had any issues.
And in terms of the structure of your training, there's so many different ways of going about it, obviously in the marathon even more so, but give us an idea of the breakdown of your week. You know, are you 2 or 3 sessions a week? You know, what sort of structure do you take? And is that common across the whole team, or is that what works best for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say my training's very different from everyone else, especially at the moment. Like, I feel like I hardly see everyone because they've been sessioning even on different days than me whilst we've been out here, so that Helen can see their track session if they've driven down to sea level to go to Italy. I stay up here on my own and do my session in the afternoon. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's similar to training the rest of the year round in that 9 times out of 10 I've got 2 sessions that week and a long run. Sometimes one of my sessions will be kind of merged with the long run, so I have like a long run session, so I'll be running sort of 20 plus miles, but it will include some marathon pace work as well, which will then mean that as well as my other session that week, perhaps I do like a progression run or something that's sort of not a long run and not a session again, like it's kind of in the middle. So yeah, and I find out pretty much what I'm doing a week in advance. I don't get to see too far into the future in the plan, which I respect, and I think it's the best way because Helen can change it in the way that she feels it needs to be tweaked. But at the same time, if I say, "Oh, can I have a little look at what I'm doing in the next couple of weeks?" we can talk about it and have a debate about it, which is nice. And that's coming to the fore a little bit more in the last couple of weeks with the taper, where I'm sort of asking questions and can I do this or do you think I should do that, and it's good to be able to have those kind of conversations. It's not like she puts down a plan and that's it.
And throughout this block, when you went in, when you know, everyone has a day one of marathon training, whether it's official or unofficial, but has your goal remained the same from there to now, or has that changed throughout the block at all?
I think towards the start of the block, I was wanting to sort of key off how I felt in terms of where I put the goal. And I also don't think that it's ever like just one goal, because I've been really well sort of trained in a mental sense to have multiple goals going into any race, so that we can work backwards from that and have an A goal, B goal, a C goal. And I'm always talking about that, because I just think it's a good way to make sure that you are able to be successful, whether that's across the board or it might just be in one area. And there's always things you can improve on if you hit the B goal but not the A goal, and etc. So yeah, I've kind of keyed off the training, but at the same time, like, I'm a big believer in setting big, scary, lofty goals. So I've done that as well, and I think I find that really motivating personally as well. And it doesn't put too much pressure on me that I feel like, oh gosh, I've got to hit that goal, and if I don't, it'll be the end of the world. I see it as like, well, it's difficult for a reason, so we're going to do everything we can to get there. And if we don't, I'll fall somewhere, behind that will still be a really good place, and know what I need to work on for next time.
So we're going to round this off the way that we round off all of our episodes, Philly. We're going to go with quick fire questions. So I'm going to shoot 5 questions at you. I don't want you to overthink them. First thing that comes into your mind, go for it. So number 1, if you had a magic wand, what's one thing that you'd change in athletics?
Oh God, that's a really hard question.
Thank you.
I don't know. I think like creating teams like that merges the club space and like an elite team that you can get behind, so that people can play like fantasy athletics on like a smaller scale. But I think it'd be really difficult to do.
Yeah, no, I do like that idea, and it's been mentioned, isn't it, in different circles before, and it's always, wow, this could be amazing. Look at other sports, but yeah, the work that would have to go into it.
I think it would cost a lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be a mega change if we had a magic wand for you. Number 2, what is the best thing about being a professional athlete?
Just getting to like have fun and feel like you're a kid doing what you enjoy, like playing sport, and just chatting to your friends every day. It's quite just a fun way to live.
And the worst thing about being a pro athlete, what's that?
I think it's like probably having to do it when you don't want to, or when the times are tough. And I haven't experienced that for a long time, but I know that, like, if you're injured and you've got to just get in the pool, or you're going for a tough period of time with it, it's carrying on when you perhaps don't want to.
Okay, next now, number 4. What is a harsh truth that the running world needs to hear?
Hard work comes first, I think. I get a lot of messages from people sort of asking me for advice, or like the secret tip, or what they can do to reach their goals. And a lot of the time I'm tempted to just tell them to Google it, like, because it's not rocket science. You just got to put the work in. If you know what you're doing, you just got to build the blocks and be consistent.
Yeah, consistency is key. Love that. And final one, Philly, what's one thing that you would like to have achieved in your life in 10 years' time?
10 years' time, where does that put us? 2033. I'd love to be an Olympian.
Mega. Love that. Philly, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for giving me your time. And best of luck in Copenhagen. And, if all fails, just get the GoPro on the head again. You'll be golden.
Absolutely not. Can you imagine that in the race? No way.